Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This time we'll be doing a Victoria sponge. I've also been nominated by a friend Howie to do a pounds for puds dessert or pudding. So I'm going to dedicate this one to pounds for puds and also give a little bit to them for the charity, for the hospitality charity. Which is, helping us all in the catering industry in these quite dark times. So yeah, I mean, if you can as well, give a little to Pounds for Puds. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, all usual channels, and just just give it something to the industry to help all the people that are struggling at the moment. That would be really good. Also, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe. And the more subscriptions, I will endeavour to do more bakes. Easier to follow bakes, and also the ingredients that I'm using won't be hard to find. Hopefully not anyway. Now it's sort of, well, unfortunately it's easing up a bit too fast, but there's nothing we can do about that. Down here the beaches are absolutely packed at the moment, so but anyway, never mind, forget about that. So I will go for the ingredients, what you're going to need. The recipe that I'll walk through, I'm just going to type out as I'm sort of making it, because I add a few little extras. One is a little bit of oil to stop the cake from drying out, and this time I'll be using the cake flour because I'm lucky enough to have a loving family member who sends me some nice flowers and this beautiful cake flour that I've got, so I'll be using that and baking powder. But if you haven't got that, don't worry about that, because you can use self-raising flour, or you can use a strong flour with baking powder. But I'll type that into the recipe as I sort of go on. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Any comments you want to put in, please feel free to. And again, it will be uploaded to my website, which is www.thepastrychefcornwall.co.uk, and you can find recipes there. And again, the more interest I get, the more recipes that I want to do, and the more recipes that I can upload. I have got to update my site a little bit with the videos and so forth. Would be a great help and connection. Okay, so yeah, we'll crack on. Right, hi. So we'll just go through the ingredients that we're going to need and some of the extra little bits that we are going to use. I'm just going to move this. I think I've got enough space. So what you're going to need, let me just get the recipe up as I've been writing it down. Right, so you're going to need 250 grams of cake flour or 250 grams of self-raising flour. So if you're using self-raising flour, you won't need to add the baking powder that I'm going to add to this. So also you'll need 24 grams of baking powder to go into your cake flour, if you've got cake flour, or if you want to use strong flour or a patisserie flour of some sort, then you'll need 24 grams of baking powder. You'll also need very soft butter. I'm going to microwave this just to soften it up. It's got to be super soft, because what we're going to do, we're going to chuck it all in at once, and then we're going to beat it to it's a nice texture, and you'll see how it sort of changes as it's beating as we do it. You're going to need 250 grams of eggs, usually about 4 to 5 eggs, depending on the size of your eggs, but lucky I've got really big eggs, so it was pretty much bob on. You're going to need 50 grams of oil, and this is to help keep your cake moist, so it's not going to dry out if you have it on the side or in the fridge. Again, if you do have your cake in the fridge, you need to bring it out and get it to room temperature before you eat it. Otherwise, it will be a bit hard because of the fat that's in there. You're going to need again 250 grams of caster sugar, and I think it's 10 grams of vanilla extract. You can use essence if you want, or you can use vanilla bean paste. I find the essence though, it's weak in flavour, and it's based around an alcohol base, which I'm not really too keen on. So if you can get hold of the extract or the vanilla bean paste, it's a far much better product for your money. Also in this, I've obviously got the strawberry jam. It's up to you. I mean, traditionally I think it's strawberry jam. So, but you know, whatever jam you've got in your cupboards, if you can't find any jam, or if you don't want to go out and get some jam, you know, just use the jam that's in your cupboards. It's still going to taste brilliant. I'm also going to put some fresh strawberries into it. I've got some double cream. So what I do with my double cream as well is I add a bit of the elm lead, because it's more of a synthetic cream. So when I add the elm lead to the double cream, as well as it can overwhip, but it's better for piping, I find. You get more of a smoother mixture, and it just works a little bit easier. So yeah, so when I do whip the cream, I'm just going to add a bit of icing sugar to it, and a bit of vanilla, and that will fill our. And I like to pipe it in. You don't have to pipe it in, of course, but we'll go through that later, and some of the techniques I use for that. And then I am going to decorate the top. I know for a traditional vanilla sponge or your Victoria sponge, they don't like to ice the top. You get told off by the Women's Institute and so forth. But I am going to decorate the top with some, because also, as I already said, remember before we said we're going to do this for pounds for puds, so we're going to make it look a bit showmanshipy, and being the arty-farty chef that I am, I like to make things look good. But you'll also get some little ideas along the way as well. So all that said, sorry, and I've got sandwich tins this time. You don't have to have sandwich tins. You can use a springform cake tin. You put all the mixture in the springform cake tin. It just takes a little bit longer to cook, and you just have to make sure you cook it right, and usually at a lower temperature, or depending on your oven. Or the older ovens, you can get away with about 180. The newer ovens that we've got here, obviously we're going to do it about 170, and see how it cooks. But yeah, I think that's it. So with all of that, the ingredients, I'll also go through what we could do with all these in the stages that we do, and the cooking times and so forth. But again, I will be writing it down on my recipe as we sort of go through it, just in case I miss bits. Right, so I'm preheating my oven at 170. So what I'm going to do when I bake the Victoria, I'm going to start it off at 170 till it starts to go brown or nice and golden on top. It doesn't have to be completely cooked, and I'm going to turn the temperature down to 160, literally so I don't burn it. I get a nice even cook then. So that's what I'll be doing. Anyway, let's get on to the ingredients. And so what I'm going to do is I've got my baking powder. I'm going to sift that into my flour, like this. Take that away because I don't need it. And what I'm going to make sure I'm whisking that flour in to disperse it nice and evenly through my flour. And again, everything's sieved. So yeah, do that. Okay, so that's nicely incorporated. Let's get to one of these. So that goes into my bowl, like this. That can go over there for the dishwasher. Here I've got my butter. That's what I'm going to put in. Oh yeah, I'm going to put my butter in next. Nice and soft. You see how soft that is? That's going to help when we beat it all together. It's not going to sort of clump up, and it's going to spread evenly and make our cake mixture nice and cakey and not runny, because we don't want runny mixtures. Okay, so that then goes into there. Pardon my fingers, they are nice and clean and washed, as per usual. Make sure you're washing your hands all the time, again, with this corona is still around, so let's do that. Right, so next thing goes my sugar, like this. All the sugar. I don't usually say sugar. The oil, we're not going to put it in just yet, because if you put it in now, what happens is it just bleeds into your flour, and it saturates your flour, and you end up with little lumps and bumps in there, so we don't do that. That's naughty. I'm just going to move that. I'm going to put my eggs in. I'm just going to spread so it makes a little dip in there, and in go with my eggs as well. And then my vanilla paste, or whatever you want to, whatever vanilla you want to use. So remember, on this one we need to make sure we're scraping down in the right times. Okie dokie. Okay. So I will close this, and we'll start it off slow just so it doesn't fly everywhere, because there's a tendency to do that. So in a minute we will slowly add the oil, and then we bring it up because we want to incorporate a bit of air into there as well. This is quite a quick and easy mixture, as you will see. Once I get to a nice, I make sure all the flour at the bottom is, starting to go in. I'm just going to add my my oil. And this will, like I say, this will help with the moisture of the cake. Okay. And that's it. So as you can see, it's getting a nice pale texture. Again, we don't want to overdo it, although it does seem like we're overdoing it, we're actually not. I'm going to incorporate it until I know to a stage, maybe a minute, and well actually maybe 30 seconds, because we're about there now. Okay, I'm going to stop there, and that is cake mixture done. So fast, it's incredible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a piping bag, and then I'm going to pipe it into these tins evenly, and then we're going to get it in the oven. Right, okay, so the mix is done. I hope you can see that. And what I'm going to do is just make sure underneath here is all mixed in. Okay, very important. Just make sure you've got all your fats in and there's no lumps. Oh, what a beautiful mix. You know you're going to get a good rise out of that. And the smell already is delish. Right, so I managed to get myself some lovely piping bags. These are like the ones I use at work. Yeah. You know what, I got told off once for cutting a piping bag like that by Martin Diaz. Treated me like a child at the time. I said, well, if I can do that and get a piping nozzle in there, then it's fine, isn't it? There's no bloody set way to do it. I was quite upset by it. Anyway, enough of that. So there you go. So piping bag, I will move that out of the way for a minute. So if you say quite a large nozzle end I've got there. So that's going in there. And then I'm just going to gently plonk it in there. There's quite a bit of mixture here, so I might get a few. I haven't even got any cupcake cases, but like I say, if you have got any spare, get your cupcakes out and slap them in your cupcakes. And you have little fairy cakes then, can't you? For the kids to decorate or mess up, however you want to do it. But this, I'll just probably put the rest into a tin, a loaf tin, and just cook it as is, and I'll give it to somebody, no doubt, who will enjoy it. Okay, so I love these piping. I miss these piping, although they are plastic and it's very naughty. Right, so again, quite a wide one. If you haven't got these piping bags, you don't need it. You can just spoon it in and then you know, smooth it out how you like. But again, so I do quite a lot. It wants to be quite thick. Right to the edge. Okay, just like thus. And then we're just going to smooth it out again. So again, you want it maybe just, depends how thick you want your Victoria slice. You can't go over halfway though, because what happens is it will rise and may spill over. Look at that, hardly any left. That's Just chef skills. Okay, there you go. That's my sponge in. What I'm going to do as well, is I'm just going to smooth it off a little, just to make sure. So yeah, and I've lined the base of these with parchment paper, again, obviously because we don't want to stick to the base because they're not spring form. So we just want it to pop out, okay? And again with this one. And these are sandwich tins, if you're wondering. Okay, so there we are. So that's our 2 tins done. I'll pop it over to the oven. Right, so here's the oven, as you can see. What I've done is, so I'm at 170. Again, once it starts going brown, then I'm going to just turn the temperature down slightly without opening the oven door, obviously. So they'll both go in. And look, I'm on my bottom tray here. So I've moved the tray lower down because it would just help with a slower cook. Okay. So usually around, I think, I can't remember, around 40 minutes. But I'm going to do 20. And then I'm going to, well, I'll look after 15 because I might turn the temperature down there. Okay, excuse my recycling, I'm only human. Right, so I think it's time to get these bad boys out. So I've put on a few extra minutes there, but really around 25 minutes and they should be finished cooking. And what you'll see is they'll just come away at the sides of the cake. And I have tested it with a knife before that. Okay, sandwich done. So I'm just going to let them cool in the actual tins for a minute before I then turn them out onto my wire rack to cool down, and then we'll go ahead and decorate, do the cream, fill, and finish it off. So really, all in all, the cake's not really that, what shall we say, complicated. It's just mixing it all together, cooking it right, decorating, Bob's your auntie. Right, so these are baked very nicely. So what I did in the end, I put it on for 20 minutes. After 15 minutes, I then turned it down to 165, only 5 degrees, because they were cooking quite evenly. And what you don't want them to do is drop by turning the temperature down. So yeah, so 165, and then I took it up to 25 minutes in all in the bake. So for 15 minutes, then another 10 minutes after that on that, and that was enough baking time. And they've come out really good, nice. And what you're looking for is a nice flat surface. They may look like they're rising when they first cook, but that's them sort of puffing up, and they do settle down as they're baking. But that's what you want, a nice flat surface. And you can feel how literally light and nice they're going to be, and very soft. So the next thing is I'm going to wait till they completely cool down. And then I'll go through the whipping of the cream and how I sort of whip the cream and what texture I'm looking for. And you know, you guys obviously don't want to be over whipping your cream, because it doesn't taste great when it's over whipped, and it's very difficult to work with when it's over whipped. Okay, brilliant. Right, so before we go on to the next stage of which is the cream and the jam filling. I'll just go through what I sort of kind of did. So if you're doing it by hand, in a bowl, use a wooden spoon if you like. Try not to use a whisk, because I find whisk kind of breaks it down a bit too much, and it just doesn't work as well. So a wooden spoon, and you beat all the mix in until it's all combined, and then you slowly add your oil, and you keep beating it until it gets thick and creamy. It will get to that stage, even though it may not look like it will, but it does definitely get to that stage. And then your mix is ready. And again, the cooking time all depends on your oven. Remember, don't open that oven door, because I can guarantee if you open the oven door, it will drop in the centre. and then you know your cake's ruined. Well, it's still edible, but it just doesn't look great anyway. But that centre bit will be all mush. So yeah, so avoid opening the oven door. So again, I put my timer on for 20 minutes, but you could put your timer on for 25 minutes. At the 15-minute section, just turn it down 5 degrees and let it continue cooking for 25 minutes, and then you should be there. I think that's all I want to add in this section before we go on to the next part, which I'll be using strawberry jam, cream, 2 types of cream just so I get a nice smooth mixture. And what else? We are going to dust a little bit with icing sugar. So all you WI women out there, please forgive me for my sins. Thank you. Right, so we're going to go into the cream part. So here I've got double cream, but I've also got some longer lasting Elm Lee. And it's a bit more synthetic. As you can see, there's a few things in there that normal cream doesn't have. Buttermilk, for instance. So it's a blend of buttermilk and vegetable oil. So what this will do is it's going to stabilise my double cream, so I can whip it without it sort of you know, splitting too much, or making it easier for me to pipe with. So that goes in. I'm just going to use about half of this. So what I've got 300 mils of double cream. Just testing it, and then the single Elm Lee. It's about half of that. So that is another 300 mils. So 150 mils of Elm Lee as well. I'll save that bit because Lucas likes cream. And he's here tomorrow. So yes, and in there I'm going to put 50 grams of icing sugar. Looks a lot, but it's not. It just bulks out well. And then here I've got some vanilla bean paste. Yeah, I love my vanilla bean paste. I'm just going to put a teaspoon of that into there as well. Oh, go on, put 2 in there. Okay, that's my vanilla bean paste in there. Tasty. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to turn the camera off and then say, oh, there it's done, it's whipped. We'll whip it until it's, so you can see when I, yeah, this is where I plugged it in. Let me just plug it in, make sure it's off, and then we'll whip it. Just slow at first, let the icing sugar work into the cream, and then we'll speed it up as we go. Don't worry about it hitting the sides, it will come away. If you get a little build up there like thus, what I do is just usually tap it, and it does go in eventually, as you'll see. So we're going to now speed it up. Just tap on the side, that's good. Because it's icing sugar as well, it's so fine that it's going to dissolve, so don't worry, please. But make sure you sieve your sugar, because you know, some icing sugars do clump up. Any little bit of moisture on there and they will clump. And then we'll turn it up again. This you can do by hand. Obviously it's so much easier to do it by machine, because by hand it can take a little while and you might get arm ache, or it might build your muscles. Again, so vanilla bean paste, I can't remember where I got. I think I bought this from Tesco's a while, well not even a while back, because literally all the baking products have been raided by freaks who thought they were going to die unless they bought every baking product in the land, including flour. But yeah, everything's sort of pretty much back to normal, restocked, and you can get most things. Still, I think some places still have that issue with the flour, which is absolutely bizarre. But I don't think it's that the UK had a flour shortage. It was because the people who packed the flour couldn't keep up with the supply and demand. So it wasn't the fact that the UK had a flour shortage, it was just the packing process, and that's why they couldn't get it in. And some places you can see flour in little plastic baking bags, because that was the only way. They couldn't get the pre-packed stuff, so they bought bulk, and then just packed it themselves and sold it. So I mean, I think Asda have done that, and they're still selling big bags of 16 kilo flour, which you don't really see in supermarkets, but you do now because everyone's desperate for it. Right, so as you can see, we're coming up to where we want to be. So I'm going to stop it now at this point, and we're going to finish it by hand because you don't want to over mix it. But you can see at this point, if this was double cream, it would just literally that would be it, because it's got the Elm Lee sort of balance it out. It works a hell of a lot better. So I'll just get my magic whisk. My mat for whisk. Mat for whisk. I mean, they're brilliant. Oh, I've got some. That just come off that mixer. So what I've done, unfortunately, with this, with that sieve there, I'll just wash my hands. With that, sorry, the whisk that I put it through the dishwasher. And what you shouldn't do with any whisks with aluminium tops is put them through the dishwasher. And that's why I just got black on my fingers. Don't worry, no black in there. But yeah, just be careful of that. Yeah, so I mean, any attachments you've got for your KitchenAid, please, you know, if you can try not to put them through the dishwasher, because they oxidize basically, and eventually they'll just break. Right, so I'm gonna whisk this until it reaches a good consistency. Try and keep your cream as cold as possible. So once I've done this, before I put it in my piping bag, I'm going to stick it in the fridge, see if I've got any room. Because obviously, being summer or all that, you don't want it to curdle or split because it's too warm. So you remember, we need to whip it up enough so when we put the sponge on, it's not going to all splurge out the side. I like my word, splurge. Right, so we're almost there. Okay, we're there. And then if I get a spoon, just show you. That's it. That's the consistency you're looking for. Bloop. So when you scoop it out, it's going to leave a mark. But I'm going to stick that in the fridge now because I can feel it. It's already getting warm. Oh my god, that's good. So let's put that out of the way. It's already getting warm. So that will go in my fridge, as I've got no room, which is great. Perfect. Oh, I say that. Okay, at the top. So that's gone in the fridge, and then the next thing, we'll stop, and I will start again for the jam, and then we'll pipe in. Right, so we're at the final stages. I'm just going to take my cream out of the fridge. Just check it. Yep, I'm just going to give it a little turn with my whisk again, the same whisk I whipped it with. Yeah, so it's loosened up a little bit in the fridge. I'm just going to bring it back without splitting, of course. And yeah, that's the important of keeping it cold. I mean, you can use buttercream with your Victoria sponge. That's up to you, but it just doesn't taste the same for me. And I just so much prefer Doubler cream. Nice, fresh tasting Doubler cream. Right, so that's it. Right, so again, like I say, and I've got a wide piping nozzle, the same piping nozzle I used for the piping of the Victoria sponge. I'm going to put it all in. Obviously, when you're piping with cream, your hands are warm, and as you pipe more, it then makes the it melts your cream. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just wrap that, and I'm going to stick that before I use it into the puds again on the side with milk, which is nice. And then we're just going to do the jammy bit. You know what I do love? I do love strawberry jam. One of my faves. Right, but you know, again, if I had enough strawberries, I'd make my own. But when we're all good and proper and back to normal, we'll do a one and strawberry jam. We'll do some jams because I like jams. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm just loosening the jam up before I spread it on. And again, we don't spread the jam all the way to the edges. Just going to put it on there like this. I'm just going to gently maneuver. That's it. Look at that. So just remember also, if you put shed loads of jam on, it will eventually weep down the sides, and you know you don't want it to do that. So just enough jam for flavour and flavour. So you see, I haven't gone all the way to the sides with the jam. I've just gone on maybe a centimetre off and just spread it round. Okay, we're now ready for our cream. Right, so the cream I like to pipe. Again, you don't need to pipe the cream. You can literally just spoon it on. People like spooning. But yeah, so horses for courses, really. So you can either start from the middle and work your way around, but I like to do it the other way around. It's not like a spiral, obviously. So I'm going to just blob. And then we're going to decorate it before we cover it with the other sponge. We're going to decorate with, it's quite warm in here, decorate with strawberries, which is my always worry. So I mean, I shut the window because I heard hundreds of people outside screaming and shouting, so I didn't want that in the video as well. But yeah, so we'll decorate it with the strawberries in a second. I always put a little bit extra in the middle just to balance it out. So I'm going to put that away for a second because we're going to decorate the outside, which I'll probably put in a fresh piping bag. So what I've done here with the strawberries, the ones for the top, I've left the green on. The green they are edible. People don't eat them, but they are actually edible. You're not going to die. But yeah, I just did it for colour basically. So with the strawberries, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay them at an angle. Like this. I've got some deformed ones, I've got some normal ones. I'm just going to use all of them. And all you'll see when I'm doing this, when we're finished, it will just, the ends will just stick out. And whatever I've got left, I'm just going to fill. Again, this is just for camera purposes, because what I'll do after this is I will refrigerate it, let it set, take a picture for the Instar, of course. But that's just me being arty-farty Daryl Collins. You can do what you want with your strawberries. You don't have to put strawberries in. I like strawberries. Look, deformed one. I'm going to use it. Oh my god, shock horror. But yeah. So it's looking nice already. Again, it's very hot in here now. It's getting warmer. I can feel it. So we're just going to be as quickly as possible. I mean, these ones, no one's going to see these ones, so just stick them in willy-nilly. And we'll get it in the fridge as soon as we can. And let that cream set before we finish the top bit. Well, we'll put the top bit on now, but then we're going to let it set before we redecorate the top, which is nice. A couple in there. Oh no, I've got a green bit in there. Oh dear. There we go. So, and then we're just going to stick the lid on, like so. And that's it. That looks good. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that in the fridge now. Oh, have I got any room? Yes, perfect. I'm going to let that sit in the fridge for 10 minutes before we finish off the top. So I'll see you in a minute. Right, so the next part is the topping. But what I have forgotten, and that's because I'm out of the kitchen so much, is is just to put a little bit of cream on that bit to stick my base to my top. So you don't want it, when you cut it, you don't want it sliding off. So what I do is just a little bit here, a little bit there. That would just prevent it, but especially only if you're using strawberries. If you're not using strawberries, then you don't need to do it, obviously. Just like that. Okay. Okay, so the next part is I'm going to just pipe around the top again. This is just for show. You don't have to do this. Just because it's for pounds for puds, the charity organisation for the hospitality industry. So I'm just decorating it up, and again I'm just going to place some of these every other one, just for show, because that's what it's all about. And again, I feel, so obviously the sponge has been in the fridge for a while, so it's gone a little bit hard. But again, what I would do, because it's fresh cream, is I would keep it in the fridge for a little bit before you eat it, so everything stiffens up nicely. Ooh, done an odd number there. I'm just going to stick one in the middle. So yeah, so it all stiffens up nicely, so when you do cut it, it all cuts very nice. But again, once it's been in the fridge and you want to eat it, take it out the fridge for at least half an hour before you sort of cut into it, because you want it to get pretty warm so you can eat it nicely. Because it eats okay, you know, when it's cold, but it's just nowhere near as good as when it's room temperature, like most cakes. But like I say, it's got the oil in there to keep it moist. Anywho, so yeah, I'm just going to get now a little bit of icing sugar and of course dust the top, which you're not supposed to because WI doesn't like it. And it's not a traditional way apparently, and I didn't know that, you know, and I've been cooking for few years, but there you go, every day's a school day. So yeah, just lightly in the middle, finish it off, not too heavy, and there you have it, your completed Victoria sponge cake. And again, this one's for pounds for puds, and you know, it's something that's close to all of us as chefs and waiters and front, back of house, hoteliers, you know, everywhere. It's such a big thing, and we're all in sort of crisis at the moment, so anything we can do to help is great. So that's it, Victoria sponge done. A little bit off piste with decoration, but you've got the idea, you've got the sponge base. I mean, how you decorate is totally up to you. You don't have to have the strawberries like I've done, that's just my personal preference. But yeah, cream, buttercream you want to put in, you know, that's up to you as well. I'm not sure, there might be buttercream recipe already on my website. But again, if you like this video, please like and save the, you know, subscribe. The website will be down in the sort of links below. So you can click on that and get straight to it. It's free to join, so you know, you don't really have to pay a subscription to get any recipes. Just join, so just so what I can see who is there. Chefs, professional chefs, you know, amateurs, everyone's invited. It is just there for you to have a gander and have a go at what I'm doing. But yeah, thank you very much for viewing and for joining me. It's very much appreciated, and you know, and I feel good when people are looking and doing the bakes along with the videos. Again, this one was for pounds for puds. So you know, if you've got you want to give something in, you know, please feel free to, or just have a look at what the guys are doing on their Instagram. I'll try and add a little link onto the website or my Instagram as well, if you want to get me on my Instagram, which is at yummy_DC, and that's yummy spelt YUMII. And again, I'll put all the links into the bio down the bottom. Yeah, again, thanks again. Look forward to seeing you next time. Might go into the sticky toffee pudding realms with the toffee sauce for the next one, which is somebody, you know, a lot of people's favourite, as long as I can get hold of the dates that I need. But again, thanks again, and I'll see you next time.